What's up, people? Mike here, and this is Batman Arkham Knight, New Game Plus, or New Story Plus, which for some reason they changed it in this game, but it's New Game Plus. And normally I show at the beginning of the video me like selecting the difficulty option, or the game mode option in this case. But for some weird reason, the first about like 10 or 15 minutes, actually no, not even that, like the first like 10 minutes of this recording, I had a lot of weird audio video sync issues, and the video was like jumping ahead every like 2 seconds. So I either had to leave out the beginning selection, which I ended up doing just because it was so jumpy that it looked weird, and I almost didn't even include the audio in here, but I was able to, without too much work, actually got the audio to sync up perfectly. So there was that. So this is the first of many times where you have this like chase that you need to stop this APC vehicle. It's also the game's way of introducing this as like a side quest. And there was a weird moment where you'll find points when you're going through the streets here where random enemies are just like running around, and it just worked out that when I got out of here to try and interrogate this commander, these two guys just happened to be running in my way, and I ended up just having to deal with them. I could have just jumped in the Batmobile and like shot them with the turret gun or whatever, and you know, incapacitate them, since whenever you shoot the guys with the guns, you switch ammunition to like non-lethal. But those little chases, there's an upgrade that I don't have that I may grab at some point during this playthrough if I really need it. But you can get an upgrade where when you get the afterburner, you can basically do like a battering ram. And for some of these later times when you're when you're chasing these APC trucks, they'll usually have like 2 or 3 vehicles with them, and with the battering ram, you can just like plow right through them instantly. And I don't believe in, so far of what I've recorded, I specifically go into detail like what upgrades I have. I have basically like the main upgrades that you would expect to have with Batman, like the fully upgraded ballistic and combat armor, and some of the combo multiplier things where you can get the takedown attacks at like 5 instead of waiting until like 8 or something, or whatever the hell it normally is. Oh, this was a weird moment where there's guys in this room and then there were guys outside here. I took out all the guys that were in this room, so I got like the slow motion like close up takedown thing. But the guys from the outside ran in, so I kind of was thrown into 2 separate like predator battles. It was a weird moment where the game just didn't amount it to like one full one. It was like 2 separate, even though it was in the same room. It was weird. as you saw after I did the slow-mo takedown of the last guy, one of the other guys that ran in grabbed me from behind, so I had that quick attack to get out of his grip. And so this is the first of the many sequences in the Batmobile, which I liked the concept of like being able to use the Batmobile in the game, but they kind of overused it to my liking, especially for moments where they kind of like not necessarily force you into having to use the Batmobile, but there's times where they could have made it where you didn't need to have it, but it's there as like, well, you can do it this way, but it's gonna be a lot harder, so why don't you take the Batmobile? And at this point, when you're bringing Poison Ivy to the GCPD, you kind of drive into this big section with like about a dozen tanks, and this was me completely forgetting about it. So that was why I just slammed like right into that tank. But from that previous battle, I had built up my reserve rocket attack that luckily I had saved, and I was able to wipe out like about 8 of those tanks without any issue. One of the upgrades I have for the Batmobile is that when you fill up the bar to get like one of the special attacks on the Batmobile, the upgrade makes it where if you take damage, you don't lose the progress on that one. I believe if you're building up the bar and you get hit, I believe it still goes down, but as soon as you fill it so that it's green, you don't lose it. So there's some points later on in the game where you want to like build up that meter to have the special rocket attack, so that when you get to like the helicopter battle, when you get to Ace Chemicals, you want to have like a backup of that just in case. Even though when I do get to there, I kind of ended up wasting it before I got the helicopter, but I still made it work. But I'm trying to remember some of the other upgrades that I have for like the Batmobile. I have, I think, pretty much all the armor upgrades for the Batmobile. If not all of them, I'm at least up to like the 3rd level. But some of them do get kind of expensive. I think the most expensive ones are like 8 upgrade points or something like that. Oh, this little moment here when you get to the clock tower. I like the fact that they threw in that little Easter egg from the animated series of Bruce Wayne's childhood, you know, superhero, favorite superhero, the Grey Ghost, which was, I think, sort of the animated series take on the Shadow. And basically when Bruce became Batman, like, he used the Grey Ghost as like his inspiration of like, you know, being a detective at the same time of being like a superhero, or a crime fighter, I guess. I shouldn't, I don't know if you can really say that he considers himself a superhero. He's more of a crime fighter than, even though I guess you could say they're pretty much all the same. And so there's a lot of points in this game where I'm gonna be cutting out pretty much like all the cinematics unless they're like very minimal, or if I'm able to skip them pretty quickly. And some of the travel between locations I will more than likely be cutting down, unless they're like super quick and easy to get from point A to point B. And this is me forgetting what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing here, so I'm thinking I need to be all sneaky, but you really don't need to. Apologize for any coughing. I'm getting over a pretty bad cough I had last week. And so, oh, and anytime when Batman brings up his communication screen device, just hitting B will have you skip the conversation. And this is when they introduce you to the power winch on the Batmobile, which is something that you're gonna be using a lot in this game. It duels as using it to like pull down obstructions, but it also, especially for the bomb side quests, you can use it as a hacking, like a hacking virus implant thing, and also you can use it as a electrical charge, which is what you need to get this thing over to the other part of the building to be able to use it. And one thing I should mention, for the battle mode of the Batmobile, if you go into the options, it's either the very last option or the second to last option. You can set the battle mode to toggle. So instead of it being you holding, I think it's left trigger, you can set it so you just have to hit right bumper and it just puts you right into the battle mode. So your brake is now left trigger instead of, I think it was like X by default, which when I was first playing it, it threw me off so much because I'm used to any game where you're driving, you know, left trigger is like your brake. Or like B would be like the power brake or something. So the fact that they had it so that X was your brake was throwing me off so bad. And when I found out that you could change the controls for that, I immediately did that. So make sure, you know, if you're having a hard time being used to X being your brake and having to hold down the left trigger in battle mode, and you can toggle that to change that around and make it 1,000 times easier.
Scarecrow's men are guarding the antenna.
And
to evaluate the threat and plan my attack. 5 soldiers, all armed.
this is one of those sequences where, even though you've already played it once, they still force you to have to go through this whole sequence of seeing how many guys there are and getting a higher vantage point and all this other stuff. And it's one of those things that you should be able to just like not be forced into going through all the steps and just do it as you normally would. But it's one of these things where it's like, well, you need to lure 2 of them out, because one of the new things that they threw into this game is a fear takedown, where you can, the base thing is you can take out 3 guys, and then there's 2 upgrades to put it at 4 and then 5. I don't have the 4 and 5, I just have the base 3 takedowns. I need to, at this point in the game, I'm not even sure how many upgrade points I have. I may or may not upgrade the takedown to 4 and 5. Just because there's some points later on in the game where being able to take out 5 of the guys in the fear takedown will make some sections, I think, a hell of a lot easier. But I'm not really sure. As of this recording, I've just finished the Stag airship. And so far I haven't really had too much issue. I've died once or twice in some of the combat areas just because of stupid bullshit of me not blocking attacks like I should be. So, and one other upgrade I have for the combat, I don't think I mentioned already, but it's the multi-ground takedown, where I've noticed that compared to this game and the previous game, it seems like the guys get up a hell of a lot faster when you knock them down than it was in the previous one. But the multi-ground takedown really makes a lot of the Predator combat areas a fuck ton easier, when you can knock down like 3 or 4 guys and then just jump in the air and just throw batarangs and just take them out. It especially comes in handy in the areas that have the medics, since you want to take out the medics as quick as you can so they're not reviving the other enemies as you're fighting them. Especially since later on they'll electrify some of the enemies, so you can't even hit them. You have to like electrocute them to like negate it. And when they do that, it makes some of the areas really fucking annoying. But once you've gotten Scarecrow's location, we'll be going to Ace Chemicals.
Crane must have bought them off, or worse.